In every striking technique, regardless of which martial art and whether it is with the hands, feet, knees or elbows, there are three different sources of momentum to consider. Hi, I am Sensei Zad. I am a karate instructor. I've been teaching and coaching karate for the past 10 years. My base is Shitoryu Karate-do, although I started off with Shotokan Karate. This is a Karate Zad video. If you find this video useful or interesting in any way, please like, share, and subscribe or follow. In this video, I would like to introduce to you the three different sources of momentum combined with flow into a single technique to get the best of both worlds, speed and mass, as well as range, whilst reducing telegraphy. The first momentum is what I call the limb momentum, or speed momentum. This is regarding the arm or leg itself that will deliver the blow. Its major contribution to the technique is speed. The second momentum is what I call the hip momentum, or mass momentum. This is regarding the rotation of the hips whilst executing the striking technique. Its major contribution to the technique is mass. The third momentum is what I call the whole momentum, or range momentum. This is regarding the movement of the entire body forward with a step or lunge as part of the technique. Its major contribution to the technique is range. First, I'll demonstrate to you a single technique broken up into three parts, one for each momentum. That's the third momentum, second momentum, and first momentum. Once again, the whole momentum, the hip momentum, and the limb momentum. The range momentum, the mass momentum, and the speed momentum. I refer to the limb or speed momentum as the first momentum, as traditionally practitioners start off with learning punches, blocks, and kicks. Most of Asian traditional martial arts starts off their training session with basics, or Kihon for the case of karate, which translates to fundamentals, where the student performs hand techniques either on low sumo stance or standing upright on a symmetrical stance with neither feet in front of another and the chest facing forward. In karate, one of such stances is called Shinzen-tai, which translates to natural posture, or Soto Hajiji Dachi, the outer 8-character stance. Standing on Shinzen-tai allows the practitioner to focus solely on the hands, as karate techniques are very unintuitive and feels very unnatural. The same concept works with other static stances, and also for kicks. Here's the first momentum for a zuki, which literally translates to thrust or stab, but refers to punch in karate terminology. More on why the karate punch is a straight punch in another video. Here's the first momentum for a mawashi geri, which translates to round kick, often called roundhouse kick in English. Once the practitioner has so-called graduated from the Soto Hajiji Dachi Chudanzuki, natural stance mid-level punch, they're ready to go down onto the Shikodachi, or the square stance. Shotokan Karate would be sitting on the Kibadachi instead, the horse riding stance. Some use the term sumo stance as a general term. Shikodachi does not come naturally, so sitting on this stance provides us not only as a form of exercise and understanding the body structure, but also as a distraction. This is to practice performing the hand technique with the foresight that in a combat scenario there will be many other things to be distracted by and to focus on simultaneously when performing a single technique. When it comes to sparring, or kumite, that literally translates to meeting of the hands, you need to keep in mind about not just your opponent, but yourself, not just your strategies and techniques, but also your posture, your breathing, your distance, and angle, and so on. For this practice, you would want to keep the limb as loose as possible. This is to generate speed. This is the reason why I also call this the speed momentum. But the looser you keep your arms, the less connected it is to the rest of your body, and the less mass it delivers. hence reducing the power. On the other hand, when you ask someone to punch to generate as much force, like you would on a boxing arcade machine, you would focus to lock your arms as tight as possible and swing your entire body to include as much mass as possible into the punch. But this neglects speed. Either way, both types of punches neglects the effectiveness of the punch if performed in an actual fight. The former would be fast and may make contact but neglect sufficient damage. The second would be strong but would appear very obvious to the opponent and may not even land. This is where we move on to the second momentum, as provider of mass. Now we look into the second momentum, the hip or mass momentum. When standing upright, your center of gravity is located just below your navel. In Japanese martial arts, this spot is called tanden. As you move your hips, or koshi in Japanese, while ensuring your torso remains in position relative to your hips, you are also moving almost the entirety of the mass of your body. This is best demonstrated on Zenkutsudachi, the bent forward stance. This is how it appears when it is continued with Chudan Gyakuzuki, a mid-level reverse punch. Mid-level targets the solar plexus, and reverse or opposite refers to the hand that carries out the cross in boxing terms, as opposed to the jab. And with the other hand. When training it, you can break it down into two parts as follows. There are a few ways to carry out this punch. One is where both momentums are connected, where the punch comes after the hips. The other is where they are combined, in other words, simultaneous. Either way, the final objective is both momentum to be followed through up to the end. More details on this training in another video. Here are other examples of the hip or mass momentum and the limb or speed momentum combined. I call the third momentum the whole momentum because it is where you move your entire body. This is to be able to land a technique from a distance with a single move, to add distance to your attacking range. This explains why I also call it the range momentum. In boxing, the term reach is used to represent how far a fighter can extend his or her fists away from his or her torso. In karate's kumite, being a combat sport most similar to kendo or fencing, where the exponents seldom attack without lunging forward, we are more interested in the attacking range. I define the attacking range as the distance between the attacking opponent and the target opponent, where the target opponent will not be able to react, to defend or counterattack if the attacking opponent were to execute the striking technique. Different instructors and coaches have different ways and different methods of lunging forward in kumite. but the basics of it is to avoid a sudden squatting motion before the lunge and a hopping motion as you lunge. Overall, you would want to reduce a sudden obvious change of height as you move into your opponent. Movements which unintentionally gives away your intentions to attack are described as telegraphic. The objective of karate techniques described in this video with the 3 momentums is to reduce telegraphy. More on reducing telegraphy in another video. Here's a lunge forward to be accompanied with a punch. Here it is with a punch applied. Here's a lunge forward to later be accompanied with a kick. Here it is with a Chudan Mawashigeri applied. More on the various geri waza or kicking techniques in another video. Lastly, here are the 3 momentums applied in Kihon instead of kumite, with stepping forward on Zenkutsudachi Chudansuki. That's the 3rd momentum, 2nd momentum, and 1st momentum. Once again, the whole momentum, the hip momentum, and the limb momentum. And stepping back. The range momentum, the mass momentum, and the speed momentum. Remember how I demonstrated the 1st and 2nd momentum on Zenkutsudachi Chudansuki earlier. This is the same, but with adding the 3rd momentum, that is the step forward and step back. Again with full speed. To recap and summarize, there are 3 momentums to consider in every striking technique. The first is the limb or speed momentum. This is with the arm or leg. It is where the point of impact is, typically the fist or top of the foot. But other parts of the arm or leg are also used. The looseness of the limb is taken advantage of to produce speed in the technique. The second is the hip or mass momentum. Since the center of gravity is just below the navel, moving the hips moves also almost the entire mass of your body. This is taken advantage of to utilize close to maximum mass in your technique. Twisting the hips in the correct direction also maximizes your reach. The third is the whole or range momentum. This is where you move your entire body towards your opponent with a lunge, step, or slide, hence increasing range into your technique. But doing so with the correct footwork and technique is crucial to not give away your attack. With precise harmony or flow between all 3 momentums allows you to find the right balance between, as well as take advantage of, all 3: speed, mass, hence power, and range in a single technique. This is a Karate Zad video. I am Sensei Zad. If you find this video useful or interesting in any way, please like, share, and subscribe or follow. As my sensei often say, what I share with you is 100% yours. There's nothing I can do to take it back. It's just a matter of whether you implement it or forget it. If you have any suggestions, questions, or anything to say, do comment. But remember to remain polite and civil in the comment section.